Welcome, everyone, to the Thursday edition of Fair Territory. I'm Ken Rosenthal here with my friend and cohort, Alanna Rizzo. Alanna, as always in the world of baseball, we have a lot to get to, but let's start with the resurgence of one of the great players in the game. It's been taking place all week at Yankee Stadium, and it continues in about an hour from now.
Ken, two of the best players in the game right now. Always great to be with you guys on Fair Territory. The lead powered by Game Changer. More on Game Changer in a moment. But Ken, Mike Trout turning back the clock in the Bronx.
He is 4 home runs in his last 3 games, and there's only one other player who has hit home runs in 3 consecutive games at Yankee Stadium. That would be Miguel Cabrera. Miguel Cabrera used to like this stage. We've seen Vladimir Guerrero Jr. like this stage in the past, both in the regular season and the playoffs. And of course, Trout has tremendous career numbers at Yankee Stadium. The native of Millville, New Jersey, about, 2 hours south, had some family and friends there last night. He always does, actually. And it's just cool to see this happening because here's a guy who has had years of injuries and disappointment. Last year, he did play 130 games, had more of a Mike Trout type season, but this is the guy we remember. It's the guy we remember, and he turns 35 in August. Here's hoping he stays healthy. I think that's what everyone in the sport is thinking right now because this has been Mike Trout at his best.
Oh, it's been so much fun to see. It's almost like he's Benjamin Button, as I mentioned, kind of turning back the clock. And sometimes, Ken, the big stage is really cool. What was cool about it, it was kind of mano a mano, if you know, with, not only Mike Trout, but also Aaron Judge kind of getting in the mix too.
Absolutely. Judge is up to 7 home runs now. He's got a few in the last couple of games as well. That was a tremendous game last night. Ended on kind of a bad play with the fly ball, the pop fly, dropping between Zach Neto and the third baseman. But at the same time, it was a cool night. It's been a cool series. And the Angels, under their new manager, Kurt Suzuki, they have at least been competitive. They've got some good players. They've got now a rotation of Soriano, Detmers, and the guy who pitched last night. I don't want to pronounce his name wrong, so I'm not going to try. It's Kojanchewicz, I believe. I think that's wrong. But anyway, they have the makings of a team now, and we'll see if it continues. And we'll see if Mike Trout, who was a perennial top 5 MVP guy, usually a top 2 MVP guy, can get back into that conversation again.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr. once said, Ken, that he would never play for the New York Yankees. He kind of went back on that a little bit. Obviously, a long-time deal with the Toronto Blue Jays. Probably finishes his career, though. But 17 home runs, an OPS of above 1,000 in 50 career games at Yankee Stadium. What do you think? I'm going to ask you to predict here. What do you think Mike Trout's career would be like if, let's say, in fact, he ended, at one point he decided to leave Anaheim, agreed to leave Anaheim, and ended up in the Bronx full-time?
Well, this is a question a lot of fans ask. And why hasn't he left Anaheim? What would his career be like? All of these things. It's all hypothetical, of course, Alana, because he has said repeatedly he wants to stay with the Angels. That's where he started his career. They've given him 2 big contracts. He feels an obligation to finish what he started and lead this team back at some point to respectability. Now, that is largely out of his control. It has to do with ownership and some other things, but that has been his position. What would his career have been like somewhere else? We probably would have seen him in October a hell of a lot more, but that's not the way it turned out. So right now, all we can do is enjoy what he is doing and kind of marvel at this guy's stick-to-itiveness because obviously he is burned to be elite again, and now we're seeing all that he still can be.
Even if you're not an Angels fan, Ken, I don't know anybody on the planet that is not a Mike Trout fan. And when Mike Trout is healthy, the game is better because of it. The lead is powered by Game Changer, the #1 youth sports app that helps you coach smarter. Connect live and replay the action. Learn more at gc.com. Well, Mike Trout isn't a kid anymore, Ken. He's been in the league a very long time, but it's the kids that are kind of stealing the headlines. Kevin McGonigle of the Detroit Tigers gets an assignment bonus in an 8-year, $150 million deal. Another kid getting a long-term contract, Ken.
Yes, and McGonigal so far has proven to be everything that he was billed to be. And yes, 8 years, 150 million. The assignment bonus you referred to is 5 million. Every time he's traded, he gets 5 million from the acquiring team. It's effectively a no trade clause. He's not getting traded. And that was just something they put in there. The Tigers do not have any players with full no trade clauses. But what we're seeing in the game is, again, an influx of young talent. And of course, it's not just Kevin McGonigle, who has not just proven it with the bat, but also moving over to shortstop when necessary and has played well there at third base. This guy looks like he's going to be a star for a long time. Connor Griffin, I wrote about him a little bit in my notes column today. Not putting up numbers yet, but at the same time, he's doing things to help the Pirates win games. Defensively, he drew a walk the other day, caused such havoc just by being on first base that the Nationals pitcher, Cade Cavalli, kind of fell apart, led to a 4-run inning. Other things as well that Griffin is contributing. And I talked to Don Kelly, their manager, and he said, no, we're not sending him down. He is here pretty much to stay. Also, Sal Stewart, 2 home runs last night, Cincinnati Reds. For the St. Louis Cardinals the night before, J.J. Wetherholt, he hit 2 home runs. I wrote about him earlier this week. It seems all I do is write about these young guys, but there's a reason for that. They are making an impact, and they're making an impact in a big way. Now, you might ask, what about extensions for Stewart and Wetherholt? Well, we have not seen them yet. And with Wetherholt, my understanding is they've talked, but they have yet to come to any sort of agreement. There's really been no progress. Stewart, I'm not sure, but he's been the one offensive bright spot for the Reds, who have not hit at all. There have been a number of teams we've seen not hitting. You see the inside edge note on Stewart right there. Obviously, it's the start of the season. It's the weather in certain cases, but the Reds, the Royals, another team that has to hit. The Mets, of course, we'll get to them. And we're seeing that in the game as well.
Yeah, Sal Stewart with the 3-run home run, his 7th home run of the year, 6 RBI for the Reds rookie on Sunday. Ken, as far as the Reds and the St. Louis Cardinals are concerned, what does history tell you about them giving long-term deals to young players? Is that something that they've done historically, or as this would be kind of unprecedented for them?
I don't know that they've done it often, Alanna, and I'd have to kind of think about this a little bit. I'm sure it's happened. The Cardinals did it with Pujols way back when, but in recent years, they haven't had players kind of worthy of that type of deal. The
Mm-hmm.
Reds do have some pitchers. Actually, Hunter Green. They did that with Hunter Green. That was one. So they're certainly open to it. The Cardinals obviously are open to it. They've negotiated with Wetherholt. So I don't know that we're going to see it or not. Not every one of these guys signs one of these deals. Some players prefer to go year to year, position players especially, because potentially they can make more going year to year in arbitration and then becoming a free agent at a young age. The interesting thing about the McGonigle and Griffin deals is that they still become free agents relatively young, even with the 8 and 9 year deals. So these guys are going to be here for a long time. And the good news is they've signed with teams that are not necessarily considered the game's biggest spenders. The Pirates, certainly not. And even the Tigers, while they've spent at times, this is not a team that we've seen at the top 10 payroll category for quite some time.
Well, it's great to see some of these other teams spend some money and at least lock up some of their young core. Let's talk about the Los Angeles Dodgers, specifically Shohei Ohtani, Ken, against the New York Mets. 2 teams going in very opposite directions early on in the season. Now, Ohtani yesterday did not hit. He was not a position player, not serving as the DH, only pitched, had a great outing on the hill, but he got hit in the right shoulder the night before. Does that make the most sense as to why they got him off his feet? Kind of peculiar there.
We've seen the Dodgers over the last, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years take every precaution possible when it comes to health. Not just with Ohtani, but with every one of their players. They slow play guys coming off injuries like no other team, and they can do it because they have such depth. So with Ohtani, maybe it was that they didn't want to take a chance. Obviously, he did get hit on the shoulder, and maybe it was simply, you know what? Let's just let him pitch tonight, give him a little bit of a break. It's a Shohei Ohtani type break. It's not a normal type break. And what's interesting about him is that there's always been this debate. What if he just hit? What if he just pitched? And John Smoltz, my colleague at Fox, has always said, and I once wrote an article about this, that if Ohtani just pitched, he'd be Jacob deGrom in his prime.
Hmm.
Certainly looked that way last night. And obviously, that's something we can think about and debate. But the beauty of Ohtani, the magic of Ohtani, is that he does both. And I never want to see him stop doing both. It's the coolest thing in the game today, or at least one of them.
No doubt about that. The line, 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned run for Ohtani, the 2 free passes, 10 Ks though, 95 strikes, 63 of those or 95 pitches rather, 63 of them for strikes. Let's talk about the New York Mets. What is going on with that team, Ken, specifically veteran Francisco Lindor, which it certainly does not all fall on the Mets shortstop, but it doesn't seem like he's playing the game mentally sound. What's going on?
He's not, Alana. And there was another play last night where he laid back on a ball. Teoscar Hernandez beat out a single in the ninth inning, I believe it was. The Dodgers rallied for a few runs there. And it's just not Lindor-like to see him make this many mental mistakes. He's a guy who was kind of always buttoned up and one of the elite thinkers in the game on the field, one of the elite at baseball IQ. And for whatever reason, it's not happening right now. Maybe it's this mental slump. Maybe there's something else going on. You never know. But at the same time, they need him to be better. And you ask what is going on with the Mets. Why have they lost 8 straight? Certainly, being without Juan Soto is a huge part of this. And without him, their offense has kind of fallen apart. I'm sorry, it was the 8th inning last night with the Lindor play. And also with the Mets, as I've said before, I said this on my Monday show, they've got a ton of new coaches. They've got a ton of new players. And it's going to take time, perhaps, for them to gel. Perhaps it never happens. They've also had rotation questions from the start of spring training, even before that. So this was never a perfect team by any stretch of the imagination. It's a different team. It is still a very talented team. I do expect them to play better. I think they need Soto back, and obviously they need to get going. And I want to refer as well to what Will Salmon wrote yesterday about Carlos Mendoza and his status. It's already a topic of discussion in New York, and coming off the season that they did, it's somewhat understandable because they fired a lot of his coaches or changed a lot of his coaches. And when that happens, the manager generally is next. That said, this isn't on Mendoza, as Will wrote. It's only, 17, 18 games into the season, and you have to see how this team settles in. If at the end of May, they're still kind of playing in this funk that they've been in and they haven't ignited, then maybe you look at the manager and you think, okay, maybe we just need a new energy. But Carlos Mendoza is a guy that David Stearns handpicked, a guy that David Stearns liked, a guy that drew all kinds of praise in his first season when the Mets had a slow start and then got back into the NLCS for the first time in almost a decade. So for fans to turn on him, for anyone to turn on him, at this point, it's just too early.
Yeah, it's only April 16th, April 15th when all of this stuff was coming out. I encourage you to read Will Salmon's article in The Athletic. I know Armand, who is a very, very good listener and viewer, is going to have questions for you, Ken, and Grillin Ken. So guys, get those questions in. Grillin Ken is right after this.
Kratz, the world has a cord problem, wires everywhere. It's 2026, and it is time to get a
Ridge Wallet 5-in-1. It's not a wallet, it's a charger. Look at this thing. It sticks to your phone. You push the button. It charges your phone while you can charge 2 different items at the same time. Oh, and don't forget, while it's charging, you got a little lean-to, John. That'll help it sit right there. Appreciate your Ridge Wallet. This is so nice.
which is great for me. If I'm at the airport and I'm watching a game, I can charge 5 devices and then I can just watch something on the phone. Of course, they still have the wallets that are money too. And we know the code. It's nice and simple. It's FOUL, F-O-U-L. 1 thing to pack, 5 ways to power. You can find Ridge's power bank at Best Buy, or our listeners can get 10% off at ridge.com by using code FOUL at checkout. Head to ridge.com, use code FOUL, and you're all set. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support FT and tell them we sent you.
All right, guys, welcome back to Fair Territory with Ken Rosenthal. Get those questions in. It is time for our Grillin Ken segment. The first one is in regards to the Pittsburgh Pirates. Daniel, Dr. 1919 wants to know, $5 super chat. We appreciate you, Daniel. If everyone stays healthy, why wouldn't the Pirates consider a 6-man rotation, Ken, when Jared Jones returns, given all their young arms? What's your take?
Certainly a good point. And their rotation is one of the more impressive things in the game right now. It's pretty much all homegrown. Actually, it is all homegrown. And there are, as the questioner points out, Daniel points out, some younger pitchers in there. Bubba Chandler, Ashcraft is relatively young in terms of his career. And yes, Jared Jones would fit into that mold as well. A six-man rotation would work, but I believe you would want to keep Skeens going every fifth day or every turn on the five-man. So I don't know that they would want to do it. It obviously would help get everyone rest, and even Skeens, you might want to give a breather here and there. But at the same time, Skeens is in his third full season. You want him pitching as often as possible. So I don't know what they will do. I haven't asked the question yet, but it's a good question. But also, as the questioner points out, Daniel, hey, let's see if everyone is healthy when this becomes an issue with Jared Jones.
Yeah, it seems like right now they have a too many pitcher problem. That's never a problem. So we'll see what happens when Jared Jones re-enters the picture. Ella Sheva Jones has a great question, and I want to give you credit too, Ken, because you said pay attention to the Marlins. You were probably the only one that said that. She wants to know, is this real? Is this sustainable? Because the fish are looking good, Ken.
Well, they're coming off a tough trip in Detroit and Atlanta. I believe it was 1-5. So, okay, they started really well. Now they've faded a bit. It's a long season. We know that. What I like about them is their young talent, and they've been missing Stowers. He has not played this point or to this point this season. So he'll be back soon, eventually, and he will add to their mix. They just lost Griffin Konine. Not great. That's the ebbs and flows of the season with regards to injuries. I like their pitching with Alcantara at the top, with Yuri Perez, with Max Meyer, with all that they're doing from that standpoint. And I like their young outfield, Marcy and Owen Casey. Stowers, if he's an outfielder or a first baseman, we'll see. I like Otto Lopez. There's a lot there. They play the game in a fundamentally sound way. They're kind of the Brewers Southeast. Not quite that good at it, but they have that kind of energy about them. And I like their manager, Clayton McCullough. So there's a lot there. Are they ready to compete for a division title? No, probably not yet. But are they possibly a wild card contender? That I could see happening. It's going to take a lot of things going right, but this is a team that is certainly not without talent.
Here's a funny connection. I'm sure you knew this, but many folks didn't. I certainly did not. Mark Bowman, who does a great job with MLB.com, that covers the Atlanta Braves, had an article that Walt Weiss, the Braves manager, Ken, used to babysit Clayton McCullough, the Marlins manager. So there's an interesting connection, perhaps, that you didn't know between those two teams. Okay, another question here for you on Grillin Ken. This is in regards to the Reds. Video Game Nation 26. Are the Reds still willing to negotiate with Ellie De La Cruz on a contract extension from what you have heard or seen?
I've not heard much about this. I am sure they are willing to negotiate a contract extension with him. I am sure he is willing to listen. Every time I see a headline, this player open to an extension. Yeah, no kidding. Every player is open to an extension. But of course, you have to get the right terms. You have to reach an agreement. Now, with De La Cruz, if I were him, I'd want to put together a complete season offensively, defensively. I'm not talking about health. I'm just talking about rounding out his game, and he's certainly capable of doing that. At the same time, obviously, players entertain extensions for all kinds of reasons. Sometimes they come from poorer backgrounds. Sometimes they just want the security. There are all factors or all kinds of factors that go into it. So I'm not sure where his mind is. Not sure where the Reds are either, but would either side or both sides entertain it? Of course they would.
All right. From our control room, we have a question for you here on Grillin Ken. What is the latest on Nick Pivetta? What's going on with him?
We don't know exactly what's going on with him. Padres manager Craig Stammen said yesterday he'll be out weeks, if not months, something along those lines. Not quoting him exactly. So it's certainly a concern for the Padres, who have been red hot. They've won 7 straight, another dramatic victory last night. And they did it on a night when Randy Vasquez, their now number 2 starter, wasn't all that great. Obviously, they've had rotation concerns from the start of the season. Joe Musgrove's been out. He's coming back. Pivetta now out. I don't know exactly how this is going to turn out for them. They've got Walker Buehler. They've got German Marquez. They've got a bunch of guys who are kind of trying to just hang on a little bit or revive their careers. Could they use Lucas Giolito? Yes, they could. Could the Cubs use Lucas Giolito, as we wrote earlier this week? Yes, they could. Do they have the money to do that, the Padres? I don't know, because right now their sale process is nearing completion. And before they make any kind of financial decision, they might want resolution there and to know perhaps who their new owner would be.
Yeah, I still can't believe Lucas Giolito doesn't have a job. And now the Cubs have a bullpen issue too, Ken, with Porter Hodge being out with UCL surgery. One word answer from you. Who makes the postseason? Paul Skeens or Mike Trout?
I love that question. I will say neither, but if I had to bet on one of them, I would bet on Skeens.
Wow.
The Pirates do have something going. And I just talked about how I like the Marlins. The Pirates aren't as complete, and they've gotten hot starts from Brandon Lau, from Ryan O'Hearn. They've gotten some things happening, or had some things happening, that probably are beyond where they're going to be over the course of the season. Not that Lau and O'Hearn aren't good players. They're really good players, but them and O'Neal Cruz, they've been really hot. Okay, but let's say they're in it. And let's say they have this pitching surplus we've talked about at the deadline. Maybe they do something to kind of bring in yet another bat or a bullpen piece, whatever they might need. We have not seen the Pirates in this mode for a while, so it's hard to know how aggressive they would be at the deadline if they were in contention. But the way they operated this offseason aggressively, you would expect that to continue into this season. They have shown urgency, and they've got the pitching, yes, to make a wild card run.
All right. It's going to be fun to see if either one of those teams gets into the postseason. We're going to be back with Dude and Dork of the Week right after this.
Fair Territory with Ken Rosenthal is proudly part of the Foul Territory Network.
Listen to authentic conversations and unique insights across a variety of shows hosted by esteemed writers and all-stars alike. The people who know our game best.
I see myself right behind me.
Yeah, we have Foul Territory in the locker room. It's nice to formally meet all of you.
We debate baseball's hottest news while also chatting with over 700 current Major League players in laid-back, long-form conversations unique to FT.
All the years I worked, I never missed one. I didn't call them all right.
Catch us live from baseball's biggest events, winter meetings, all-star games, and award shows with access the other guys wish they could get.
That was my whole key to hitting, was I mastered BP.
Subscribe on YouTube and rate 5 stars wherever you listen. Support your favorites and share us with a friend. We are changing the way baseball is consumed, and we want you right there with us. The Foul Territory Network. Baseball, the way it should be covered. BetMGM account holders, today, how about an Any Sport Parlay Boost token? You can score a bigger payout if your wager with that token hits. Tokens can be used on parlays and on same-game parlays. Gambling problem or concern? There's help. Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Dude.
All right, welcome back to Fair Territory with Ken Rosenthal. Time now for our Dude and Dork of the Week. I will go first on my dude. It is Alex and Kayla Vesia. The reason being is that, of course, unfortunately, in the postseason, which is why Alex was not able to pitch in the World Series, they lost their newborn daughter, and they brought every single nurse and medical professional that helped get them through that very difficult time to Dodger Stadium last night. They had a suite for them and they honored them. And both Alex and Kayla said what an amazing job these people did to help get them through one of the hardest times of their life. He also ended up getting, I believe he retired the side on this evening as well. He pointed to this crowd after the second save of his season in his interview with Kirsten Watson. So congratulations to Alex Vesia, and obviously in something that we never wish he had to go through, finding the silver lining in all of that. Ken, who is your dude of the week?
It's easy. Jordan Walker, major league leader in home runs. We talked about some of those young players before. Wetherholt, one of his teammates. Jordan Walker is 23 himself. He's not much older than JJ Wetherholt. And he had a couple of tough years. And now he's establishing himself. He's got a great personality. He's worked hard at this. Dude of the week, 8 home runs. Congratulations, Jordan Walker.
And how about Jordan Walker, Ken? They kept sending him down. He was on that up and down elevator a million different times. And look at him now leading the league in home runs. All right, time now for our dork of the week. Right, Ken, for me, and I know you can appreciate this, having been in this industry as long as you have and having been in the camera well and the dugout for many, many games. Anybody thinks that they are that they have the right to take a picture or say whatever the heck they want. And somebody just took a video of longtime broadcaster, longtime color analyst Angie Mentek, who is tremendous at what she does. Cole Smith 04. I don't know who this person is. I don't know if this person is credentialed or just a fan in the stands. Angie Mentek, do you know of any good questions to ask after a tough loss, asking for a friend? So he is recording Angie on her phone while she was in the camera well after this really brutal come from behind win for the San Diego Padres that beat Angie's team, the Seattle Mariners. And you can see there, it said good questions after a tough loss in baseball. And that's obviously probably an AI question that she's asking. Angie Mentek has been in this game for decades, Ken, and she knows the game very well. She knows ball, as they say. And you know what? I'm upset about this person doing this to her because maybe they do know who Angie Mentek is, but if you had taken half a second to find out who she was, you'd know that she knows baseball. And to your point, when we were talking about this, she's doing some research, maybe getting another idea, or maybe finding a way to phrase a question differently, or that type of thing. Not to mention, Angie just had a stroke not that long ago. So it's bothering me because this, of course, went viral. Barstool picked it up, and it is all over the place now. And if you don't know who Angie Mentek is, it's disingenuous to what she brings to the game and who she is as a reporter and as an analyst.
Alanna, this is ridiculous. She's sitting in the camera well. She is entitled to do whatever she wants in there, trying to do her job as well as possible. And you know what? People get on us all the time for not asking good questions. Sometimes you want another different perspective. And if that's where you're getting your perspective, fine. What she should be judged on is what she does on camera, not what she does sitting in a camera well, getting ready to do a post-game interview. And fans have a lot of fun at games doing things like this, and we've all seen it. And it gets to the point where it's a bit ridiculous that she gets judged on this. What she should be judged on is her job performance, not how she's getting ready to ask a question. Dork of the week for sure for this, and this stuff kind of needs to stop. Not kind of, needs to stop.
Absolutely. And you have another dork of the week yourself, Ken. Who is it?
This is a complicated one. It's the Texas Rangers. And it's complicated because you have to read Sam Blum's story yesterday in The Athletic to get the full context of what this is about. What it's about is a statue that was basically taken down in the Dallas Love Field Airport because it was of a Texas Ranger, and it was reminiscent of a guy who enforced segregation. And that was who the model was for the statue. His name was Jay Banks. There was some dispute whether he actually was the model, but it was taken out of Love Field Airport for that reason. There was controversy over it. And the Rangers basically put it up and said, we're fine with it. And it upset a lot of people, as it should. And there's no reason for the statue to be there. And frankly, there's no reason for the Texas Rangers not to offer any explanation. If they want to honor the Texas Rangers, the organization, the Texas Rangers, the law enforcement organization, okay. And while there's a history of racial discrimination with that group, they've done a lot of great things as well. That's fine. But to do it in this fashion and then not explain it, and I'm not talking about all the people who declined comment to Sam, the general manager, Chris Young, the manager, Skip Schumacher, it's not them. It's not their problem. It's ownership that needs to explain this. And frankly, that statue never should have been erected. But I encourage everyone to read Sam's story to get the full context and the full picture. It's hard to explain in just a minute, but that's what we're talking about here. Texas Rangers, Dorks of the Week.
Yeah, ownership group needs to say something about this. Well, you have a good game coming up this weekend, and AJ Pierzynski is on it as well. Can you have Braves at Phillies? It is Sale versus Sanchez. What are you looking for?
Really excited about this. And often, Alanna, it seems to be we don't get the sexy pitching matchups on the Saturday game. It's random, and it's probably my perception and not even true. I'm sure we get enough good matchups, but this one is really special. Chris Sale won the Cy Young Award in the National League in 2024. Christopher Sanchez was second last year to, of course, Paul Skeens. So to see these guys go at it on Saturday night with AJ Pierzynski and Adam Wainwright in the booth, along with Joe Davis, it's going to be a special atmosphere. And the Phillies are trying to find their footing here. The Braves have been surprisingly good. They've defied all the critics, including this one, who said they didn't do enough to boost their rotation. Their rotation's been one of the strengths of the team. So I'm really looking forward to this one. Flying to Philly today, and we'll see you Saturday on Fox.
All right, we'll have a cheesesteak for me. We appreciate it very much. Everybody, we appreciate you being here on Fair Territory with Ken Rosenthal. Do not forget, Ken is back on Monday. That's it for us for today. Foul Territory, it's next. Lance Lynn, Jim Duquette joins AJ Pierzynski, Scott Braun, and Eric Kratz. Dodgers Territory will follow. And again, Ken sees you on Monday. Take care.